Ọtụtụ ọmụnụ m ọdịnala Igbo, a na-emekele onye ọla niile ihe mgbasa ozi. Asị m ka ọmaka mere anyị. Asị m anyị gbuo ihe a ga-egbute ihe ọma, anyị gbuo n'azụ ga-egbute ihe ọma, anyị gbuo n'aka nri n'aka ịkpa ga-egbute ihe ọma. Ihe ọbụla anyị tiri aka ga na-aga nke ọma. Abụ m onye mgbasa ozi ọdịnala Igbo. Aha m bụ Maazị Chukwuemeka, onye na-etu Emeka the Chief Priest. Taa ewetara m unu ozi ọma. Abịara m ka m kọwaa uru ọ bara ị na-achụ àjà. Ị na-achụ àjà. So achọrọ m ka m kọwaa ihe gbasara ịchụ àjà. Ịchụ àjà dị ezigbote mkpa. Na mbụ, ihe eji mara ndị Igbo anyị wụ ịchụ àjà. Na ndị ọcha mụtara ihe dị ụta n'aka anyị. We have entered a new dispensation, and most of these things that we are teaching have been seen as being obsolete or has been seen as being ineffective. But I tell you the basic truth. If you have ever done this and you didn't see any changes in it, it means that you need to accomplish it called sacrifice. And sacrifice is one thing that connects you to the spirit realm and makes whatever you're doing to run fast. So if you are the type that you don't understand anything about spirituality, you must be someone that takes his time or her time to be watching videos or be reading posts on spirituality. African spirituality is not about fetish things, it's not about diabolical things, it's not about magic. Those people that are practicing magic and sorcery, they have nothing to do with spirituality. Spirituality in its entirety is about connecting the spirit realm to the physical realm. It's about using spiritual solutions to deal with physical problems. There are physical problems that needed spiritual touch in it for it to be solved. Someone was discussing this with me concerning a bridge that was supposed to have been built. That each time the engineers construct this bridge, it doesn't take time, it will crash. Each time they construct this bridge, it doesn't take time, the bridge will collapse again. It was because they couldn't settle or they couldn't appease the deities, the water deities, where this bridge was to be constructed. And the moment one of these engineers, which was a foreigner, an expatriate, the day he realized that this was the problem, he was able to. So for those that think that spiritual things doesn't work, is because they are ignorant. They are ignorant of the fact of how things work. So coming back to the main topic, sacrifice. Animal blood sacrifice is very, very important because it has been since time immemorial. And this is how the fabric of life is. Forget about the white missionaries and some of the colonial rulers that came. They were able to give us a distorted way of how things work. That distortion was the reason why so many people are having problems today. They brought distorted or lies about nature, about how life started. So, but if you know how things work, you realize that the birds of the air, the land, the plants, do you know plants have life in them? Plants, for it to grow, means there must be life in it. The birds, the stones, the trees, the cosmos itself, the ecosystem, whatever forms the ecosystem, there's life in it. Because without life, there won't be mobility. Without life, it will remain static. That's why in some planets where there's no life, whoever goes there must go with oxygen. That's an external. You must attach oxygen to yourself, and then you will realize that there's not much mobility in that place because the life form there or the life force there is not elevated. So we in the planet Earth, the reason why we succeed here is because there are five elements that controls every life force in the planet Earth. We have the air, we have water, we have fire, that's the sun. Then we have land, and then we have ether. Ether is the space where every of these things is being is being coupled. So without all these elements, there won't be life form, there won't be life force in planet Earth. So that is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to sacrifice, animal blood sacrifice is the way that when you conduct it, you are assessing some of these elements for them to work for you. So trying to relegate it and put it behind is because you are full of logic, and logic is about trying to separate good from bad, say this is good, this is bad. But nature itself was not built based on logic. Nature was built based on intelligence, and intelligence is not logic. Hmm? Intelligence came before intellect. Intellect is a product of logic. Intellect is man-made. Intellect is when man is trying to use his brain to dissect between good and bad. But intelligence is the basis of the creation. Like when you see an ant, you'll be asking yourself, what importance is this ant to me? Definitely you're going to crush the ant and walk your way. The same thing with trees. When you see a tree, you'll be looking at a tree, say, what is this tree meant for? But because you don't have an in-depth knowledge of how things work, you might end up maybe decimating, or let's say uprooting the tree and discarding it. So that is how it is. Intelligence is the basis of creation, while intellect is that of man. So trying to use intellect to understand nature is where man's problem started. And that's where we've been moving from one conflict to the other, and we're not finding any headway. So coming back to the topic again, why it is very important to perform animal blood sacrifices is because you are trying to appease the elements that needed to be appeased to. And blood itself has a way of connecting the spirit to the physical, or from the physical to the spirit, because it's a medium. Some of you cannot contact the spirit until you have a medium. Some doesn't have that elevated consciousness to understand spiritual things. That's why whenever they say it, it doesn't make any sense to you until the day you understand how things work. So to cap it all, back to the topic again, is that it's very important to always engage in animal blood sacrifice. Why? Because that is a medium for you to know how to appease the spirit forces. Is another way. It's like subscription. It's like a way of subscribing your data in your phone. It's like a way of putting a data subscription in your phone for you to access spiritual things. Like I keep saying it, your intellect, your physical brain cannot understand spiritual things until you have an elevated consciousness. And that is when you understand how things work. So by the time you do these blood sacrifices, it connects, just the channel that connects you to the spirit realm. And whatever is like a way of sealing an agreement. Just like you'd have gone to the, let's just use the court of law as for an example. If you go to the court of law, any judgment that has been passed must be the judge. The judge hits his gavel. That gavel is what we're talking about. That gavel is to seal the agreement that this particular thing must come to pass. Any judgment that has been made or that has been passed, once the judge or the chief or the person in charge hits his gavel, he has sealed that particular agreement. So blood sacrifice is a way of sealing a spiritual an agreement spiritually, so that the spirit forces will work for you. It's another form of activating. It's activating spirits to work for you. That whoever that has been doing this, it's very difficult for you to find to be struggling with things as long as you're an African. I'm not talking about the whites here because the whites have their method of doing their things. They don't actually believe in spiritual African spirituality. But as long as you're an African, you must understand how things work. So if you have any question concerning this video that I've just made, or you want me to help you with spiritual consultation, chat me on my WhatsApp number. My WhatsApp number is 09040113281. Thanks for stopping by. The Chief Priest cares.